Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're reacting to the greatest Michael Jordan what if to Johnny Arnett. I'm excited for this, man. What ifs are some of my favorite things. It's cool to me to think of what could have happened if, like, one thing changed. I'm a big fan of the butterfly effect. You never know, man. So let's check this video out. See if Michael Jordan, how this would have impacted his legacy. Would he still be the GOAT? Would he not be the GOAT? I don't know, man. I'm here to learn more about Michael Jordan, more about the time period, and I feel like what ifs helped me learn a lot about that time period because it's not necessarily just about what happened, but the context of what could have happened. I think that is really important when it comes to NBA history. For example, like Shaq and Kobe. What if they didn't fight? What if Shaq took better care of his body? Like NBA history could have changed drastically. So curious to see what this could have been. Let's go.
As all of you know, Michael Jordan is the most iconic basketball player of all time, and most people agree that he's the greatest player of all time. So naturally, there's going to be a lot of speculation and what ifs tied to his career, and the list of those go on, and I've talked about those for hours on this channel. But if you ask me, the greatest Michael Jordan what if is one that is very rarely talked about. It wasn't about Jordan's first retirement. It wasn't about his second retirement and their chance at winning a seventh championship.
His third
But for
retirement?
me, it was actually about his return in his Wizards years. Listen, I'm fully aware that most people are not going to agree with me about this being his greatest what if. But for me, this one is just the most fascinating. So here's the deal. This is an article from 2005, and from an interview, Jordan was quoted to say that he felt used by the Washington Wizards organization. You see, MJ was the team's general manager before he stepped down to play with the team, and Jordan assumed that as soon as his 2 years were done playing with the Wizards, he would then assume his position as an executive for Washington. Unfortunately, Abe Pollin, who was the owner of the organization, decided to cut ties with Michael Jordan almost immediately after he was done playing. This led MJ to say that if he knew that he was going to be used this way by Abe Pollin, and that he wasn't going to be resuming his general manager position after his playing days were done, then he wouldn't have come back to play for the Washington Wizards in the first place. That's where the what if comes in. Because if MJ didn't come back to play for the Wizards, who would he have played for instead? Now some might—
Dude, I have a theory. Because the Wizards treated Jordan so poorly, their punishment was 23 years of misery for their franchise. So he stopped playing in 2003. It's been officially 23 years later, 2026, and they win the first round pick in the draft. Don't tell me that Jordan didn't put a curse on them for 23 years.
theorize that Michael Jordan would have just remained retired. And although that is certainly a possibility, I think that is extremely unlikely. MJ has been vocal about the fact that one of the motivating factors for him coming back to play was to prove that he could still compete against some of the best players in the game. And he described it many times as having an itch. He just had that itch that he had to scratch. He had to come back to play the game of basketball professionally because he still believed he had something left in the tank.
Y'all know that Dave Chappelle meme where he's like, y'all got more drugs, like that one? That's probably what he was itching like y'all got that basketball?
Personally, I think that itch would have been too strong for MJ to ignore. To know that answer for sure, you'd have to ask MJ. And honestly, if I could ever confront him, that would be the question that I would ask him. If you didn't come back and play for Washington, would you have come back to play at all? And if you did, what team would you have played for? Today, that's what that video is about, as I'm theorizing which team Michael Jordan would have returned to play for if he didn't come back to play for the Wizards. Now first off, let me address the teams that Michael Jordan definitely would not have gone to. First off is the Washington Wizards. Naturally, because that's what this video premise is about.
Correct.
The second team is the Chicago Bulls.
Right.
And this might seem surprising to some, but not really once you understand the context. At the time, Jerry Krause was still the general manager of the Chicago Bulls, and him and MJ famously had a very tumultuous relationship. There is absolutely no way that Michael Jordan comes back to play for Jerry once again.
Agreed.
The Bulls also still had Tim Floyd as their head coach, which is the guy who was being groomed to replace Phil Jackson. And
Groomed?
Krause pushed out Jackson for that replacement.
Don't use that word.
This entire situation would be repulsive to MJ, No matter how strong his itch was,
Right,
I think Jordan
right.
would rather remain retired than come back and play for this organization at that point. The third team that MJ definitely would not have came back to play for is the Indiana Pacers.
Okay.
Michael Jordan did have a friend on that squad, which was Reggie Miller, and maybe that would have been a nice merger for the two veteran stars. But the ultimate deal breaker was the fact that Isaiah Thomas was the head coach of the Pacers at that point.
I didn't know Isaiah was a coach. What? Didn't Larry also coach the Pacers? Why are all these legends going to coach the Pacers?
Everyone knows that Isaiah and Michael had a bitter rivalry on the court, and still hold harsh feelings towards one another even to this day. There's absolutely no way that Jordan would have embraced a situation where Isaiah Thomas is an authority figure above him.
Facts, dude.
The fourth and final team that I can say with certainty that Jordan wouldn't have come back to play for was the New York Knicks.
Okay.
Yes, at some point there was some connections and some rumors between Jordan and the Knicks, but that was before the situation happened with Jeff Van Gundy. Van Gundy was still New York's coach at that time, and Michael was really known to hold grudges. And after Van Gundy's famous con man comments about Michael Jordan several years earlier, I would really have a hard time seeing MJ trusting Van Gundy again in any kind of coworker relationship.
Dude, MJ in a Knicks jersey would have gone hard.
As we all know, Michael is a guy who will cut all ties completely if you say something against him personally. Look at his relationship with Charles Barkley as an example.
Dude, they don't talk? Dude, can someone tell me what happened to Charles and Mike? I didn't realize they weren't talking. I thought I just watched the Olympics Dream Team thing. They seem cool to me.
So now that I've addressed all the teams that Michael Jordan would not have come back to play for, who were the most likely teams that he would have come back to play for? First off, the Los Angeles Lakers.
Dang.
At the time, the Lakers had just won back-to-back NBA championships.
No chance he goes to a team that just won back-to-back championships.
And were looking to complete a three-peat.
No chance.
Obviously, there would have been some pre-existing chemistry, considering the fact that Phil Jackson was the Lakers' head coach. He also could have embraced a mentorship role over a young Kobe Bryant. And I'm sure Kobe would have embraced that as well. Obviously, he'd be immediately competing for a 7th NBA championship ring. But it's tough to say whether Jordan would have wanted to join a team that had already done everything that was needed to win championships. Yes, he could reconnect with Phil, he could be teammates with Shaq, and he could mentor Kobe. But would he accept a role as a third option on a team that was already a champion? It's tough to say.
It's a good point, but I also feel like if, let's say he did do it, 2002 they win. 2003, when San Antonio won, I think the Lakers would have that advantage, as long as everyone's healthy. 2004, I think they win. I think Jordan could have three-peated before retiring one more time.
The second team that he may have gone to is the Portland Trailblazers. He had some familiar faces on that squad, as Scottie Pippen and Steve Kerr were on the Blazers at this point.
Oh, that would have been cool.
And yes, Portland was a championship contender in the early 2000s. But heading into the 01 to 02 season, Portland was kind of on the downswing, as Arvydas Sabonis was no longer on the roster, and much of the team was really getting up there in their basketball years.
Dang.
There was also a lot of negative media attention around the Blazers at this point, and they had even been nicknamed the Jailblazers for some time, due to all the issues that they were having off the court. It's tough to say whether Michael Jordan would have been okay getting a squeaky clean image involved with that organization. Plus, it's also tough to say what his relationship was exactly like with Scottie Pippen at this time.
Right.
Would Pippen have even embraced MJ at that point? Regardless, I think there's enough evidence to say that he would at least have to consider it.
Yeah.
The third team that Michael Jordan could have joined is actually the New Jersey Nets.
Interesting.
This would have been a really interesting situation, as they were a contender in the Eastern Conference. Rod Thorne was the general manager of the Nets at that time, and he was actually the man who drafted Michael Jordan for the Chicago Bulls in 1984.
That would have been cool.
Rod famously has had a close relationship with Michael Jordan, and there is even the rumor that MJ once told Rod that he wouldn't be on the Dream Team if Isaiah Thomas was on it. That may or may not be true, but one thing that is true is that Michael Jordan has a very exclusive circle of trust, and Rod was one of those guys who were in it. he would have been playing alongside of the best point guard in the game at that point, Jason Kidd, and they also had a strong power forward in Kenyon Martin. Jordan likely would have started ahead of the 6'10 small forward Keith Van Horn. If MJ decided to go back to Rod Thorn and play for the New Jersey Nets, I think they still end up making it to the NBA Finals.
Agreed.
But they probably still end up losing to the Los Angeles Lakers.
You think so?
But this time,
Look, man, if you add Jordan to a team that made it to the finals without him, I think it's closer, dude. Also, we would have got MJ versus Shaq and Kobe. That would have been iconic, man.
instead of being swept, they probably win a game or two. Regardless, the acquisition of MJ would do nothing about the Nets' inability to contain Shaq.
I know MJ had that injury his first year with the Wizards, so there's a chance he would have got injured. It wouldn't have worked out. But I also think he got injured because he had to carry so much. So I think if you put him on a team that has championship aspirations, he stays healthier because he doesn't have to do as much. And put MJ in the finals versus Kobe and get those two to butt heads, that would be cinema. Cinema.
The fourth and final team that I believe Michael Jordan could have returned to play for is actually the Orlando Magic.
Interesting.
In the summer of 2001, the Magic signed Patrick Ewing on July 18th,
Okay.
which was well before MJ made his official decision on where he was going to play. And Patrick was one of Jordan's best friends. So it's possible that MJ could have followed him there and have that be their final swan song together.
That'd be cool.
MJ also could have embraced a mentorship role with the Orlando Magic superstar Tracy McGrady. Also consider the fact that Horace Grant returned to the Magic that season, which gives MJ yet another familiar face.
That would have been cool.
Figuring out the starting lineup for that group would have been difficult, since the team had T-Mac, Grant Hill, and potentially Michael Jordan, who are all shooting guards / small forwards. Eventually, the situation would have resolved itself since Grant Hill only played in 14 games that season due to an injury. My guess is that they probably make it as far as the Eastern Conference semis, before they were eliminated by Jason Kidd and a deeper New Jersey Nets team. So ultimately, to get a real definitive answer, you'd have to ask MJ himself. But if you ask me, one of the four teams he would have returned to play for are the Los Angeles Lakers, the Portland Trail Blazers, the New Jersey Nets, or the Orlando Magic. In this situation, I believe the only scenario where MJ ends up winning a 7th championship ring is if he joined the Los Angeles Lakers, completing the three-peat from 2000 to 2002.
I think Brooklyn.
Would it have
I guess they were the New Jersey Nets back then. I think New Jersey would have been the move.
meant much to his legacy? Probably not, considering that Shaq and Kobe were the clear engines of that squad. Still, it's cool to think about. So now I'll leave the question up to you guys. If Michael Jordan did not return to come back to play for the Wizards due to a soured relationship with the organization, which team would you have liked to see him come back to play for instead?
New Jersey.
And what do you think would have been the outcome?
New Jersey
I
championship.
look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching as always.
Look,
Make
man,
sure to like and subscribe.
either a New Jersey championship or at least like a battle, like a 6 or 7 game series versus LA. I know LA was dominant, but would have been cool. Let me know what y'all think. What team would you have wanted them to be on instead of the Wizards? Do you think they could have won a championship with one of those teams? I want to know what y'all think. I hope y'all have a great day, night, whatever time of day it is for you. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Doses.